Hi everybody, how are you? For those who don't know me, I'm Kimberly Ashwood, and I am chair of this grassroots organisation called Public Child Protection Wales. Public Child Protection Wales has been leading the fight here against comprehensive sexuality education, which is the new sex education that the UK adopted in 2017. So this has been rebranded something different in each country. Here in Wales, it's called RSE. England, sometimes it's called SRE, RSHE, and Scotland, RSHP. So what we are dealing with is a global sex education, comprehensive sexuality education. And the reason why I'm doing this live here tonight is because we've had something in the news. So we were going to take part in a news program earlier on with GB News, but that some other news came up, so we were unable to do that. So that's why we've decided to do this stream here tonight now and to discuss this thing that's in the news. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull the article up. I was going to read it to you and then discuss a few things and, reading through it again. But we all kind of know the backstory here with this sex education, don't we? So I'm just going to go through a few things and discuss a few things at the same time. So what I've already said is we know that this sex education is global. It's global anyway, So as the head in there says, plan to ban sex education for children under 9. Okay, so that's what the heading says there, and that's what's caught everybody's attention today. It's gone a little bit wild. I know a lot of groups in England to give interviews, and it's been pretty much the same thing here. So a lot of people are excited. Let's say a lot of people are excited by this announcement. Like I said, the headline is something to get excited about. Plan to ban sex education for children under 9. So what I'd like to do, guys, I would like to look at this article a little bit and go through it with you. So like I've said, the first thing I've said to you guys is we are fighting CSE, Comprehensive Sexuality Education. But as this article opens up, it says schools in England will be banned from teaching sex education to children under 9 in new government guidance expected to be published on Thursday. Right now, I want to go through this article because the devil is in the detail. This isn't the first time we've had news like this, and people have got excited thinking, we're on to something here. The tides are turning, things are happening. It was just last year that Rishi Sunak, this time last year, Rishi Sunak made a big announcement that he was going to rip up sex education and scrap it. But I just want to reinforce the fact that this is a global sex education, and this was signed for in England by the Conservatives. It was Labour here in Wales and SNP in Scotland. So again, that was a little bit exciting. We wasn't expecting anything big there because we know the makeup of this education. And for us here in this group, we've known about comprehensive sexuality education since 2013. So the fight against this education is new for the UK, but it's not new for the world. So before starting the fight and firing up the campaign, we decided, we looked at the campaigns around the world and we could see where they struggled, and we wanted to do the exact opposite there. So we've seen this kind of thing take place before, guys. We've seen books removed off shelves. We've seen one thing shut down in a state, and then the next minute a piece of legislation comes in, all right? So this global sex education that all 4 countries of the UK adopted, it was brought in with a view for legislative changes. So what we're actually seeing in the UK now is 4 countries at different stages of the same process, okay? Now, this is an agenda, a global education agenda, and that is not something that I've plucked out of thin air. You can find all documentation that I am discussing now on our website, publicchildprotectionwales.org, in the resource page. Now, if you go to the UNESCO technical guidance, which was published in 2018, which is widely used around the UK, you open the first cover there and it explains to you that this is part of a global agenda for education, for sex education, right? So what is happening all around the world is what's going to be happening here. It's what we've seen happening here. So for a start, you know, schools in England will be banned from teaching sex education for children 9. Like I said, I don't, some people saying it's a step in the right direction. Let's just continue reading this article, shall we? The BBC has not seen the new guidelines, but a government source said they also included plans to ban any children being taught about gender identity. Head teachers have said there is no evidence of widespread problem within age-appropriate materials, and one union has said the review is politically motivated. So I want to stop right there. If you go back to what I just said about Rishi Sunak, he said he was going to rip up the sex education, and they had an inquiry, an investigation into it. A couple of months later, that inquiry was complete, and they decided not to publish the findings because it was not in the public interest. What you would have seen then is a newspaper article. We actually have that on a board now. Is a newspaper article, and that term politically motivated was used there as well, okay? So I want to agree with that. This is politically motivated. This is political ping pong because there's an election coming soon. So please be aware of that. This is a global sex education, comprehensive sexuality education, and it features on the UNESCO website. All of our details are there. Documents to prove everything I'm saying on our website, publicchildprotectionwales.org. So, like I said, the devil is in the detail. It is politically motivated, okay? The statutory guidance on relationship, sex education, sex and health education, which schools must follow by law, is currently under review. The government believes clear guidance will provide support for teachers and reassurance for parents, and will set out which topics should be taught to pupils at what age. So again, they are deciding what's what. So what I foresee happening here now is the guidance hasn't come out yet, this new guidance. Like I said, the devil's in the detail. New laws have been brought in. This is just guidance. Guidance can change overnight. Policy can change overnight, okay? So this is what I foresee happening. Something in that guidance is going to be a little harsh, and already they're getting politically charged here, ready to oppose it. All right, so we're already going to see that happening, guys. Again, this is another political stunt. Nothing actually comes down to the general public, does it? So this is what we need to do. We need to look into this properly, guys. Like I said, if Rishi Sunak, and I said this last year, if Rishi Sunak was serious about protecting our children, it would stop. An immediate stop, all right? Because they've trialed this. They've brought this experiment in and we've seen nothing but harm. It should stop straight away. There's no room for negotiation on child safeguarding. And I'm going to discuss that further now in this article because I find it quite contradictory. So, Paul Whiteman, General Secretary at School Leaders Union, NAHT, said, if what has been leaked is accurate, the government must provide evidence which is unequivocally shows that such age limits will improve the support, protection, and safeguarding of children and young people. I have to agree with that. I have to agree with his statement there because that's something we've been asking for all the way along, is evidence, isn't it? We've been asking for evidence to prove that there's safeguards. And they didn't provide the evidence, there's safeguards to bring it in. So how can they prove it's not going to safeguard to take it out? Because by proving the safety mechanism behind this, they're going to show everyone for what it is. It is not safeguarding. It's all unethical, all unscientific, you know, and it's open to interpretation. So many children already access information from outside school, which might have led teachers to being asked questions about sensitive topics, he said. It's hard to see how rigid limits on what can be discussed and when should be the best interests of young people. The National Association of Head Teachers has previously said the review is politically motivated and there is no evidence to suggest a widespread problem of inappropriate content being taught. Well, that's wrong, isn't it? There is evidence out there of inappropriate content being taught. The issue here is if the National Association of Head Teachers don't think it's inappropriate, or they don't think it's education, there's evidence out there to suggest this. There's one of two things going on here. They're either not being truthful or they just don't know. They're not trained for it. They haven't access to it, meaning they're incompetent, negligent. So a Suffolk Primary Teacher Head Teachers Association, Rebecca Leake, said the government's proposals would not make that much difference. Sex education was not typically taught until year 6 anyway, when children turn 10, and parents already have the right to withdraw. So where has this head teacher been the last 4 years? Because that's what the fight has been about. Parents not being properly informed, parents not being allowed to withdraw. Also, we've had teachers hiding so the withdrawal parts in England, the sex parts where they could withdraw their 5-year-olds from that, taught until year 6 anyway. Why was that provision in place for primary school children? That they could be removed from the sex element if it's not being taught anyway. These are people in high places, might make statements like this. So what are the current RSHE rules? Let me go back here to scroll down for you to read them, guys. What are the current RSHE rules? Well, relationships education has been compulsory for primary schools since September 2020. Children are taught about healthy, respectful relationships, focusing on family and friendships, including online and social media. They also learn about physical health, parts of the body, boundaries, and puberty. The government strongly encourages schools to include teaching about different types of family and same-sex relationships. At secondary school, relationship, sex, health education, and mandatory covers content on a wider range of key topics. It includes sex, sexual relationships, consent, online abuse, domestic abuse, and female genital mutilation. In some cases, parents have the right to remove their child from some sex education lessons, but not from relationships education. This is a sensitive topic anyway. There shouldn't be this thing whether you're allowed to withdraw or not. This stuff shouldn't even be discussed in school. You know, it shouldn't even be discussed in school anyway, because to discuss the different types of relationships, you've got to discuss the differences. What's the difference? There's only one difference, the way we have sex. So it then goes on to say, head teacher at a school in Rotherham and general secretary of the Association of School and College Leaders told today that he believes people are being used as a political football. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And you teachers should have put a stop to it a long time ago, because this is politically motivated. It is not scientific. It is not inclusive. There's absolutely nothing to support the teachings of this. It's not safeguarding. So I urge all parents out there now, for every piece of resource your child is being taught, you want them to show you the sources of that resource, how it was developed. You want to see the raw data and how they came to that actual piece, because this is what's going on here. Teachers aren't properly trained. They're not checking where this stuff is coming from. They are blindly trusting and just pushing it onto your children. So what else does it say? Teachers want well-informed and evidence-based decisions, he said, and not politicized guidance. You already have that politicized guidance. We all want these evidence-based decisions, but our teachers are currently not acting on evidence-based decisions. And that's why ordinary parents who have done their homework have not had a say in this article. So even though the headline is great, that they stopping sex education for children aged 9 and under and stopping gender identity, it's a guidance that they're going to put out in England for an education which is global. See, guys, it's not It's not worth the paper it's written on. There's an election coming. So whilst we welcome a chance to look at this, we also need the flexibility to respond to whatever those particular needs are, he said. In a separate interview with BBC News, he added, 10 years ago, there was no need to teach about sexually explicit images being shared on social media. And 3 years ago, that might have been delivered at age 14 or 15. And now we're having to deliver at age 10 to 11 or 12. Absolutely. Because there's not anything safe online, is there? Children live their life online now. There's no safety mechanisms there. Nothing is filtered out. Easy access to porn. The true dangers of porn are not out there, but we'll get on to porn in a minute, okay? So again, so even though this article states there's a ban on sex education for children under 9, it then goes on to say it's only guidance in England. It's going to be discussed. They'd already tell us politically motivated. They tell you they're going to get politically pantomime now, guys. That's what we're going to see. Another repeat of what we always see every time there's an election, okay? Do not take your foot off the gas. This is not good news. The devil is in the detail. So let me just scroll down again for you guys. You can catch this yourselves. As you can see, I'm getting a little bit better on this whole technology thing now, guys. So, private parts. The National Education Union, the UK's largest teaching union, agreed primary school children needed to be able to discuss with trusted adults information they picked up online about relationships. Now, trusted adults. The Education Union has never spoken about institutional sex abuse, have they? Because everybody within the institution in the school is a trusted adult. But we've got high rates of sexual abuse taking place in our institutions. It is well documented. It's reported in the independent inquiry into child sex abuse as well. If you just Googled IICSA, sex abuse in schools, you will see the sex abuse in schools is, and I quote, and this is a 7-year-long study, an open secret, with over 40% of children being abused. They're aware of it happening to other children. If you go on our Facebook page, Public Child Protection Wales, you will see in the pictures in the album, you will find freedom of information requests that we submitted to police forces in Wales. So in 3 academic years, there was over 570 sexual assaults and rapes on school grounds for just South Wales Police alone. So why is this union not speaking about what's happening amongst the trusted adults? You know, this is a dangerous game here. A dangerous game. Very, very dangerous. General Secretary Daniel Cabaid said government was seeding doubts about whether school leaders and teachers thought carefully about how they taught about relationships. It's all open to interpretation. Teachers shouldn't really be teaching about sexual relationships anyway. There should be specialists going in. But what we're seeing now is third-party organizations who are unregulated taking on this work. And we'll address that again in a minute as we go on in this article now. One parent in Banbury, Oxfordshire, told BBC Radio 5 Live her daughter in Year 5 had been quite upset after being taught about the anatomy of private parts. Another in Cheshire said her Year 5 daughter had come out of class confused about how babies are made, thinking she could become pregnant if she sat near a boy. But an 18-year-old in East London told the programme there had been instances of homophobia and transphobia at her school because it wasn't taught about in primary. An 18-year-old, mind. An 18-year-old, all that experience, we should put all that experience into policies. I mean, come on, the brain hasn't even matured yet, all right? So schools have a duty to share RSAG materials with parents when asked for them. The chief executive of Parentkind said the draft guidance must encourage this transparency between schools and parents. This transparency has been encouraged between schools and parents many times, from UK government and Welsh government, and obviously the High Court as well, right? They have encouraged this transparency between schools and parents. But these are not school resources. These are third-party organizations. Okay, so that then means you can't view them because of copyright. You can look at them in the school, you can't take a photo of them, there's nothing else you can do with them because of copyright. Okay, so that's the loophole there, guys. Right, so what you see and what's actually going on are two different things. Right, don't get too excited about this. They teach them relationships and sex when they themselves feel is appropriate. Other organizations are concerned about restrictions on sex education. Lucy Emerson, Chief Executive of the Sex Education Forum, said, if topics were to be restricted, it would leave children even more dependent on getting answers about topics from pornography, coercive control, and STIs from online sources. The youth-led RSHE charity Sexpression agreed that since some 9-year-olds may have already been exposed to pornography, not allowed to teach sex education at all would negatively impact them. And I'm not going to go on and say any more than that now. Right. Pornography. What they are not telling you there is how much damage porn does to the brain. Okay? Porn is more damaging to your brain than crack cocaine. Now, if they cared about children accessing porn, they wouldn't be able to access it. Right? They would not be able to access it, full stop. We would not be able to access it without the fight. All right? Pornography is massively damaging. And they want to teach about it in schools for this reason, because they're accessing it and asking questions. No, they're accessing it. It's rewiring their brain. It's desensitizing them to sex, and they're carrying out things on their peers what they are seeing online. That's what's happening when they're accessing porn, when they're seeing porn. They're not asking questions. They're having their brain damaged. All right? Now, these organizations should know this, should know the level of damage porn does to a brain. So they should be campaigning to stop all access to pornography. How are they addressing this in school? They've got PowerPoint presentations saying porn is fine in moderation. The only thing wrong with porn is you should be 18 to access it. That's what they are saying, okay? So it's not, this stuff is not, what they are saying and what they are doing are two different things, right? So their excuses here are nonsense anyway. The guidance can be changed overnight, right? The guidance can be changed overnight, guys. These discussions have been going on in Parliament for a long time. If they cared and properly wanted to safeguard our children, they'd put a stop to it straight away. Because every organisation out there has had issues. They aren't properly regulated, and they are delivering stuff which are not evidence-based, wholly unethical, based on ideologies instead of facts. You know, we know this stuff doesn't safeguard. They're teaching your children about the correct body terms for their anatomy, okay? Vulva, scrotum, penis. I urge you all to do one thing. You send a letter to your schools and you tell them they're not allowed to teach you a child correct terminology for their body parts until they provide you with evidence it exists. Not a statement, evidence. So it's taken 4 years to get this evidence from the NSPCC. We've got what they are using. We've got what they are using to promote this to your children, which I will say out loud actually grooms. Because predators, when they're in a situation with children who can confidently engage in conversation about their genitalia, they see that as consent. So why are we teaching children to confidently discuss their genitalia in an establishment which has never addressed the level of sex abuse? We want them to confidently discuss their genitalia, but predators see that as consent. And you're being told it's safeguards. So ask for the evidence. It's safeguards. Okay? You will be getting something from us on that in the next couple of weeks. We've got it. We've got the studies from the NSPCC claiming safeguards. I want you all to just question this stuff. Please do not blindly trust. The headline is exciting. The next headline tells you it's only England. This is global. So before you even come off the headings, it doesn't make sense because it's a global sex education. It's all over the UNESCO website. Go onto our website, publicchildprotectionwales.org. You will see everything there is evidence. Read the story that applies to us all in the UK. This is not one country. This is pretty much, it's 52 countries in the world. It's the whole of the UK. It's a global sex education. They are playing political ping pong with the children. I don't know what this guidance is going to say at the end of the week. It doesn't matter what it's going to say because they're already geared up to fight it anyway. The devil's in the detail, all right? The devil's in the detail. Do not take your foot off the gas. Our children need us as strong as ever on this. So we will be addressing Parliament in September. We'll be on Parliament Square. We will be outside the Senedd in July. We'll be outside the Senedd and outside the BBC July the 9th. Please look on our website for details of this. And we will be outside, we'll be on Parliament Square in September as part of a coalition with all of the parent-only groups. All the parent-led groups, all the parents who have struggled, suffered at the hands of the system, the children who are being forced into lessons on porn, the children who are being told you can be born in the wrong body. You'll be hearing from them. You'll be hearing their stories. So if you are a parent affected by any of this and you want to share your story, maybe you're not confident saying it yourself, as long as we've got proof that this story is true, we will share this story for you during our demonstration in July and September. I'm going to leave it at that now, guys. That is our take on the news that's come out today. This is not the first time this has happened, guys. This is a pattern they use all over the world. They just keep pulling you out in and out, in and out, in and out. There's an election coming, all right? There was a different government in each country who adopted this global sex education. Go to our website, find the evidence. That evidence was submitted to the High Court and proven as fact, okay? The only thing that was lost in court was the argument on parental rights. We, as a nation, do not have parental rights. Comprehensive sexuality education means our children are born with sexual and reproductive rights. Our children don't have parental rights to protect them. We solely have parental responsibility. If at times we do not play ball with the local authority, that's when they will threaten our parental responsibility. We're in a very serious situation here, guys. I hope you all take on board everything I've said. I hope you all, I hope you don't fall for this stuff, and I hope you continue the fight. See you all soon. Lots of events coming up. Subscribe to our website, www.publicchildprotectionwales.org. And we hope to see you at an event at some time soon. Thank you all for watching. I'm not going to go through the comments because I'm not very good at this kind of stuff, guys. I have to be honest with you. But thank you all for commenting. Thank you all for watching. Really appreciate your time, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye, guys.